Coming up on today's episode of AMA Drone Report. FAA model reg struck down by court. DJI's new Spark is a multi-talented flyer. Industry reacts to Taylor decision. Hi, I'm Bree Cross. Welcome to Airborne's AMA Drone Report on Aero-TV, a weekly news program covering the recreational drone world in partnership with the Academy of Model Aeronautics, one of the oldest and most respected aviation organizations in the world, with more than 195,000 members and 2,400 clubs across the country. Score one for us little guys. As you may have heard, the U.S. Court of Appeals in Washington, D.C. has ruled that the FAA violated the FAA Modernization and Reform Act of 2012 when it required the registration of model aircraft that are flown strictly for recreational purposes and has vacated the registration rule for those aircraft. In Section 336 of the law, Congress specified that the FAA, quote, may not promulgate any rule or registration regarding a model aircraft. The Act defines model aircraft as an unmanned aircraft that is 1, capable of sustained flight in the atmosphere, 2, flown within visual line of sight of the person operating the aircraft, and 3, flown for hobby or recreational purposes. Maryland Attorney John Taylor challenged the registration requirement based on Section 336, saying that the rule was unlawful as applied to model aircraft. The court agreed, writing that, quote, the FAA's arguments to the contrary are unpersuasive. First, the FAA contends that the registration rule is authorized by pre-existing statutory provisions that are unaffected by the FAA Modernization and Reform Act. Specifically, the FAA notes that under long-standing statutes, aircraft are statutorily required to register before operation, but the FAA has never previously interpreted that registration requirement to apply to model aircraft. The FAA responds that nothing in the 2012 FAA Modernization and Reform Act prevents the FAA from changing course and applying that registration requirement to model aircraft now. The FAA claims that the registration rule is therefore not a new requirement at all, but merely a decision to cease its exercise of enforcement discretion. In the next Drone Minute, let's take a brief look at a few of the shorter stories that are making the rounds of the small UAS and hobby drone communities. Industry reaction has been swift and vocal to the Taylor decision. Among those of note, the FAA made the following statement after the Court of Appeals decision, quote, we are carefully reviewing the U.S. Court of Appeals decision as it relates to drone registrations. The FAA put registration and operational regulations in place to ensure that drones are operated in a way that is safe and does not pose security and privacy threats. We are in the process of considering our options and response to the decision. On the other hand, AUVSI had some concerns following the court's decision. Quote, AUVSI is disappointed with the decision today by the U.S. Court of Appeals to reject the FAA's rule for registering recreational unmanned aircraft systems. A UAS registration system is important to promote accountability and responsibility by users of the national airspace and helps create a culture of safety that deters careless and reckless behavior. We plan to work with Congress on a legislative solution that will ensure continued accountability across the entire aviation community, both manned and unmanned. Kittyhawk has introduced Flight Deck, a new feature that brings in-flight controls and functionality in real time to the Kittyhawk platform. The app removes the need for switching between apps during operations, while also connecting the pilot and his aircraft to real-time airspace alerts and real-time coordination with headquarters. For commercial pilots, Flight Deck removes significant overhead by acting as a single mobile application. That was our Drone Minute. Now back to the rest of the news. DJI has just introduced the Spark, which they call an easy-to-use, fun-to-fly mini camera drone that lifts off from the palm of your hand to capture and share the special moments in your life on the go. The little drone's aims are clear: keep it simple, using a number of new control concepts that range from an ingenious cadre of specialized hand gestures to mobile device control to quasi-conventional flight controllers, and to incorporate scads of accessories and additional functionality. The revised DJI app support is impressive. Quote, controlling a camera drone with hand movements alone is a major step towards making aerial technology an intuitive part of everyone's daily life, from work and adventure to moments with friends and family, said Paul Pan, Senior Product Manager at DJI. Spark fits easily into almost any bag and weighs just 10.6 ounces. Spark will be available in 5 different colors: alpine white, sky blue, meadow green, lava red, and sunrise yellow. Spark can fly up to 31 miles per hour and houses an impressive camera that captures 12 megapixel photos and shoots stabilized HD 1080p video. Spark's 2-axis mechanical gimbal and ultra-smooth technology dramatically reduce shake and rolling shutter effect to capture cinematic shots effortlessly. As expected, the Academy of Model Aeronautics was highly intrigued by the Court of Appeals decision and is now in the position of evaluating how the organization will proceed and what recommendations it might have for the future. AMA's Chad Boudreau notes that the AMA has been dealing with the kind of questions raised by the Taylor decision for many years.
We have worked vigorously with Congress to protect the aero modeling community. In fact, it was through AMA's efforts that the special rule for model aircraft was put into law, which was the basis for Mr. Taylor's challenge to registration. Now, for decades, our members have registered and labeled their aircraft with AMA and followed our community-based safety programming. And while federal registration also makes sense at some level, it shouldn't apply at such a low threshold that it includes toys, and it's redundant for our members.
Now the hard work starts again for AMA: what to do in light of the court's decision and how to craft solutions required to make sure that the model community gets a fair shake while also being good partners to the rest of the aviation world. We'll keep you advised. Well, that's our program for this week. In addition to this program, our daily Airborne Unlimited episodes covering the entire aviation and aerospace world are streamed Monday through Friday. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and tweet us. Get comprehensive real-time 24/7 coverage of the latest aviation and aerospace stories anytime at aero-news.net, and more information on the exciting hobby drone world at modelaircraft.org. We'll see you next week.